Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Writers and Fighters, a podcast. I'm your host, AJ Ortega. And remember that every week I release an interview with a writer of some kind or a fighter of some kind. And we got another boxer on today. I had the pleasure of interviewing professional middleweight boxer Trouble Igbokwe, who fights out of H-Town, Houston, Texas, and he has a record of 16-2. We talked about his run-ins with the law that eventually led him into boxing. We talked about how he got his nickname. And we talked about him spending some time in Nigeria in middle school and high school. And he's Nigerian American, so hearing that perspective, being American born but spending time over there, was a really cool part of the interview. And then he wraps up with telling us a little bit about overcoming loss and his future goals in the boxing world. So again, I'm on vacation, so there won't be any fight recap, so we can get straight to the interview. This is the interview with Trouble Igbokwe, professional boxer fighting out of Houston, Texas. Enjoy. All right, I'm sitting here on Zoom with Trouble Igbokwe, calling in from Houston, Texas. How are you doing, bud? How are you doing?
Blessed, man. I can't complain. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. And so maybe just introduce yourself for the audience, and why are you on Writers and Fighters, a podcast?
Oh, man, just coming to talk, man. I'm a boxer, Texas middleweight champion, currently 16-2, fighting out of Houston, Texas.
Very cool, man. Tell me about your Houston pride. I saw some custom boots that you had on Instagram that I was like, dude, those are throwback and look clean. Tell me about Houston. What does Houston mean to you, man?
Man, Houston, everything. It's Houston, where I was born, where I have friends, where I grew up. I just love Houston. Houston, like, there's so many, like, different things to Houston, so many stories in Houston.
Yeah, definitely a good hub for combat sports, too. I think it's a good spot for fighters of all kinds. People, I think, don't understand how big Houston is. Yeah.
Definitely. When you say you're from Houston, you always got to say what part. Definitely.
Yeah, it's big up there, like New York is big like Chicago is big. It's truly a huge city with a lot of culture there. And so I really dig those throwback boots you had on there. Did you have those for a fight, or did you?
Yeah, it was for a fight. So most times, like, for a fight, I just really try to see what's gonna, like, relate to me, or, like, just different things, or, like, what clothes would match. And then that fight, I think it was at a stadium. It was gonna be at a baseball stadium. I was like, oh, I could. Then, like, my mind just clicked, like, oh, we could do Astros. I'm like, oh, damn, do an Astros throwback Houston. It's gonna all go together.
There you go. Very cool. Very cool. And so, since you are a pro boxer, again, you're 16-2, really great record there. When did that start? When did you start boxing? And then maybe the more interesting one is why?
I started boxing, I think when I turned 20. I'm 27 now. It's about, like, 7 years in the game. Like, but I was always, like, fighting. Like, I just grew up, like, like, just my way of solving problems.
Navigating the world.
You feel me? So, like, I remember, like, growing up, like, I'll never forget the story. I was, like, growing up, and it was the first grade. Like, I was always bullied. And, like, this bully never listened to, like, the no's and stops, me telling the teacher. And then one day, I think I just acted out. It was all in violence. Ended up beating the bully up. Like, I don't know where this strength came from. And it was just, and, like, since that day, like, it was just, like, all right, all this time, like, I was trying to tell this bully, like, hey, leave me alone. Like, he didn't understand me till, like, I resulted in violence. And then, as a little kid, it was just like, oh, snap. All right, this is the way. Like, anytime you got to solve a problem, it results in violence, because you see that talking didn't work.
Yeah, I think there's, everybody has their limits, and there's a time and place for that stuff. I hate when people are like, violence doesn't solve everything. And I'm like, violence solves some shit. Violence solves some definitely. Shit. And,
for sure.
And so you figure out how to navigate a problem. And again, at a certain point, like, well, you got to take what you dish out, bully. And so if you beat him up, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think a lot of people could stand to get beat up here and there. I mean, I think that's part of the game.
Especially if you're bullying.
Yeah, for sure. And so that experience was, again, untrained, again, schoolyard bully type stuff. At what point do you train and do organized fighting rather than, fighting at school, fighting on the street, fighting in the neighborhood?
So one time, like I got in some serious trouble where I did like a little jail time and stuff. I did a little jail time, and every time I ever been to jail, like I know it sounds bad. Like anytime I ever went, like the first thing I started doing is praying, like, "Yo, God, you let me out. I never do this again." So like just one incident, it was like a little assault battery charge. Somebody was going to press charges, and I remember when I went to jail, shit resulted in that first thing, that prayer. And I'll never forget, like, that whole prayer, that whole time, like, while I was in there, like, in the hold, and I was like, God, if you let me make this, I'll never fight on the street again. I'm going to join a boxing gym. And I kept repeating that prayer. Long story short, I remember, like, the whole thing, like, went to court, like, went to the whole trial because I was trying to fight it.
Sure.
And then, like, they dismissed it. Like, some crazy stuff went my way. Like,
nice.
And I remember being in the car telling myself, like, dang, you really, like, just beat this case. And then I remember, like, telling myself, like, literally talking to myself, like, okay, is this one going to be one of those situations where you pray yourself out of a situation and go right back to what you're doing and just pray yourself to get out of jail? Or you going to really do what God asked for? And I was like, man, I'm really going to do this because next time I try to pray myself out of a situation, I probably ain't going to be able to pray it out. So I remember going to it wasn't even the first thing, and people don't even know, it wasn't a boxing gym I started at. It was I went to MMA. I had a buddy of mine named Steve-O. He used to do MMA. Like, he went to the whole, like, legacy and all that.
Cool.
So I was like, oh, I could do that. I could fight. I could kick. I thought, yeah, I could kick, but can you take a kick? I remember one sparring session, I got kicked real bad. And I was like, yeah, that's not the sport for me. But every day anytime we sparred, I always did good. When, like, we had days where we just do striking only, or we would do strikes and kicks, or no striking, just kicks. But every day I was always good with just striking. I was like, all right. So that day, that kick, kicking where I got kicked real bad. Like, it was like a whole career change for me. I was like, oh yeah, this is my last day in this gym.
I saw a thing on YouTube that was just like the top 10 leg kick, like getting knocked out from a leg kick, just getting hit in the thigh to where you tap out. And so seeing that shit was like, yeah, I can't imagine if you're not acclimated to it.
Them kicks, man, you gotta think about the force behind them kicks.
For sure.
Or that muscle in the legs. So I just remember, like, after that, it was funny about the day of that MMA gym, because I was telling, all right, y'all, I'll see y'all tomorrow. But in my head, I knew that was my last day in this gym. So it was just funny. Like, I was telling them I was going to see them tomorrow. Then I remember I went to the boxing gym, and I'll never forget, I went there. I went there, like, confident, like, cocky. I went straight to the coach, like, yo, who's y'all best fighter?
Oh,
I
no.
promise I could whoop him. You know, that he started laughing. He was like, street fighting is way different from boxing, and I never understood that. Like, when he first told me, I was like, man, it's the same thing, man. I got them hands, man, for real.
Yeah.
So I remember he was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to give you a week of free training.
Oof.
And then I'd come up there, train on my own for free. Like, I didn't have to pay the gym dude. He said, and Friday we're gonna spar. He said, I won't even give you the best dude. I'll give you, like, one of our okay dudes. I was like, all right. So, man, I'm training. You
thinking you're going to walk through this guy, right?
You know, I'm training, thinking like, is this a Rocky movie? So I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I'm over here looking at other people train, or how they punch the bag, how they jumping ropes, to implement that in my training. I'm doing the same thing they're doing. We're trying to do the same thing they're doing. So I remember that Friday came, and I got ready like it was the first day of school, had my clothes out. I was like, yeah, I'm about to go show them. So I remember Friday, boom. Friday came, I remember we got in the gym. First round, got in there. Like, hey, no lies, I went in there and started whooping them. But when I went back and looked at it, it was so, like, so uncoordinated.
Yeah.
It was just bad. It looked just like a nasty street fight.
No technique.
Like,
right.
No technique at all. I'm just
right.
throwing punches. In my head, I'm like, I won. Like he just all he did was block, stay on the ropes. So I remember the round was over. I tried to get out, and then the coach he me and was like, "Oh, we do minimum of 3 rounds here." And I'm like, "Sheesh!"
You're like,
And I want to quit.
you
But
just did 3 minutes then,
like
yeah.
I just did. And what people don't understand how long 3 minutes is a fight.
Forever.
They think, oh, that's just 3 minutes. No, when you fighting, somebody's trying to take your head off, and you trying to take their head off, and y'all trying to kill each other. 3 minutes feel like 10 minutes, and
Yeah,
now you
get
have
blown
like
up. Your lungs are gone.
now you have several rounds of doing that. So I remember I was like, oh yeah, I can't sing like no wuss. Like I stayed in the ring, and I remember like being like just dead tired, like against the rope, and this dude is just teeing off on me, teeing off. I'm like, okay, so my mind like back, like when I look at him, like okay, all he did was just wait for me to get tired, and it worked because I was dead.
Gassed.
And I remember what my coach was saying was like, "Hey Ralph, it's okay to move your head," and it's just like bobblehead. He just teeing off on me, and I lasted the whole 3 rounds. And he's like, "Yo, I'm really, man, I got to give it up to you. Like you stood in there. Most people would have given up after that first round,
Right.
or got out as the second round." And I just remember like not feeling defeated, just feeling like, "Oh, I got to get that back."
Right. That.
Like even though, I'm new to this. Like I just felt like I got to get it back. And I remember walking into that gym, seeing all the accolades on the wall and seeing all the pictures and like the trophies. Like I just had that like me envisioning like, oh, I'm gonna be on this wall one day. I'm gonna have trophies up in here one day. So it's just like me like foreshadowing like what I'm gonna do later if I like really stick to this like all these other people on the wall did.
Yeah.
So and after that, like I really just fell in love with it. And then just hearing different people's stories, like most times you hear boxing stories, most of them didn't come from a rich home.
Right.
Like they all had that hunger.
Right.
Most of them probably were troubled kids or got in trouble and
Sure.
put their negative energy into boxing or started off as a kid. So most of them just had like different stories. And then like with the whole boxing gym, you gotta think we do this every single day. Like
Right.
I'm with my coach more than I'm with my mom.
Right.
Or I see my brothers and sisters. So you just develop that
Community.
natural family bond. Yeah. Develop that natural family bond where you calling your stablemates bros and your coaches pops, and just develop that love right there. So it was just like from there, I was like, all right, I love this. Like this is me. I could see myself doing.
Yeah, I think I'm always a big fan of like the first beginnings of training kind of stories, and I like that story that they throw you in there with this guy. He waits for you to get gassed out, but you stand in there, and that's the win for you is that you stuck with it, right? And that is, you were talking about Rocky. I was like, that is Rocky 1. He loses, like, but again, it's like a win for him because he went the distance, and I think that overcoming adversity thing just goes at levels. Like again, like those the folks you're looking at on the gym wall and the 8x10 portraits that are signed and all this kind of stuff, like that is the top of the top, right? And again, you start setting your goals right then and there, and I think that's awesome. At what point did they start calling you Trouble?
Oh, so look, it was like crazy little story. So leading up to my first professional fight, I know like everybody had a name, so we were trying to find a name. I was like, yo, I can't be a boxer and people call me Raphael. I was like, I need a nickname. I need a nickname. So what was crazy, like it was gonna be Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, there you go.
It was gonna be Wreck-It Ralph. So I was like, man, somebody gave me I was like, man, I really don't like Wreck-It Ralph. That's from a whole cartoon. Like,
yeah, they're gonna come after us for the money or something at some point.
I was like, man, nothing like there's nothing like gonna take me serious to name after a cartoon. And so we were just going different things. It was gonna be Wiz Kid. It was gonna be the Nigerian Nightmare. I was like, man, there's so many Nigerian nightmares.
Yeah, there's several. Yeah.
So I was like, down the line we just kept pushing. So like one incident, another little jail story. You never got pulled over. Cop arrested me for failure to ID. I didn't have my ID.
Great.
Took me in. And then I'm pretty sure he would have let me go, just a little ticket. But then I was mouthing off like,
oh boy,
like I just didn't have my ID, but I had it in the system. I had my insurance, so I was just, officer, why you pulled me over? I'm good, like
Yeah.
I could have been like, really, if I was more nice about it, probably would let me go. So I knew, okay, just be nice with the cops. He'll let you go. Long story short, I remember I had a championship Golden Glove. I'm at the championship. I get arrested the day before the championship fight.
Oh no!
So I was like, "Oh, come on, officer, don't do this to me." I was like telling him I gotta fight the next day. I had kids. I was like, my kids at the house. I don't have no kids. I was just trying to make any kind of excuse. I was like, I got kids at home, officer, please. So I was like, I'm going to get arrested. So the dude wins. He wins by default because I didn't show up.
Oh my God.
So I knew like when my coach saw me, it was going to be like, he's going to chew me out. So I remember like going into the gym, head down, and walking in. He was like, "Here comes trouble." And then I looked up. I was like, "Yo, coach, that's it. That's it." He was like, "What? What you talking about?" I was like, "Yo, that's my new name, Trouble." And then I remember like calling my mom, like, "Oh, I found a new nickname, like shit, like Trouble." And she was like, "That name fits you all." Like,
yeah, your mom would know most of all, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Because what people don't know, like, majority of my life was in Nigeria. Like,
okay,
I went to Nigeria like from middle school, like to the end of my high school.
Okay.
Like getting in trouble. Like my mom just wanted to get me out of this environment. And I'm so big on my Nigeria because I feel like if it wasn't for Nigeria, like you and me would not be here on this call, man. Like Nigeria definitely changed my life. It was like a definite eye opener.
So how many years were you there?
5 years. 5 years.
5 years in like your formative parts of your childhood, like when you're kind of growing up, becoming a man type of stuff,
definitely,
right?
Yeah, like my whole teenage years, like in Nigeria, the majority of teenage, like I didn't come back till I was 19.
Oh wow!
Left when I was 14, going on 14.
Yeah. Again, I remember that age and stuff. Again, that's when. Again, I get it for a lot of young men that those are your formative years, you know, and for you to be.
Those are the years that really make and break you, like.
For sure.
I know, like friends that like around those years they went to jail, did some serious time, and you know you go to jail 17, go do 5 years, like you come out like what do you know, like all you know is that jail. Yeah, for sure.
What was the most different from the USA? Because again, I have my father's from Mexico. I love other countries and seeing like, well, where do we come from and what is that culture and the culture shock that comes with it too. Even though like that's my blood that runs through me is Mexican. What about that Nigerian experience was maybe the most interesting or shocking at that age?
It was like the whole culture, like everything is different. Like they're big on respect. They're big on respecting your elders. Like
for sure.
Like you're not disrespecting your elders in front of somebody else, and then disrespects your elder like that. And then I was in a boarding school. That was a whole different shock right there. Like, all right, I go from going home every day, coming home from school, going home, going back to school. Now I'm living in school,
right,
without my parent. Like it was literally just like no warning. It was like, oh, drop off. All right, now learn everything on your own.
Jeez.
Again, I was like in school on my own. It was crazy. So, and then like, I think the worst was not the worst because it definitely changed. Like the whole shocking, they still whoop kids in Nigeria, so they still have like that whole paddle system.
Yeah,
but
corporal
the system was like the whatever system, like whatever. So whatever they found to hit you with, where there was most times it was a switch, like a branch off the tree.
Well, that's where the respect for your elders comes from, because your elders are going to whack you. That's where they're stuck.
So it's like, now it's no more ISS or suspension. Now they about to deal with you on your own.
Jeez, man.
So I remember just getting in so much trouble. I'm like, damn, I'm not getting suspended. I'm getting beats. These bruises on my back. I was like, yo, how much more do I want of this?
Jeez, man.
So it was like, it just forces you to change. Because like, yo, who wants to get a whooping every day?
No, yeah, definitely. That'll set a lot of people straight, for better or worse.
You're not calling no police or no CPS system. Like,
yeah,
they'll be the ones to come give you the second whooping. Like, oh, what you do?
Right. Nigeria is a fascinating country, and you mentioned again that nickname, potential nickname, Nigerian Nightmare, and so there's Kamaru Usman over in the UFC, and you got Israel Adesanya, and really interesting fight culture in Nigeria. They're traditional striking sport, dambe, I believe it's called, and it's like a boxing, kickboxing style kind of fight. And then they have their wrestling too. They have there's a specific Nigerian type of wrestling.
Called Giddy Ball.
Right, there you go. Right. And I always like seeing every culture has their own version of fighting. And Nigeria is really interesting in that way, and that they have these old folk wrestling and like folk boxing type of traditions, And so I think that culturally, similar to like how Mexico is and Russia, right? These hard spots that produce
especially
fighters.
Russia.
Yeah, they produce some fighters.
Russia, when you see their documentaries, how they produce fighters,
since they're tiny.
It's just like I don't know what country that would be like when they do the monks.
Right.
When they're raising the monks, at those young age, that's all they know.
Exactly. And so, no, that's really, really cool that you got to have that experience. But again, that's, it sounds like night and day compared to out here, Tell me a little bit about how the last year's been for you in training and COVID affecting events and disrupting the sports landscape.
Man, it's just been crazy. I was going to have the biggest fight of my career at it was going to be in the MGM.
A big fight.
Big fight, MGM. Going to be on ESPN. So boom, it was just crazy with the whole COVID. I happened, they did 2 tests that day. Boom, I tested negative the first day. Tested positive the second day.
Oh, no.
Then the next day I went to go get tested 3 more times just to see. All came back negative. So I was like, dang, I wish I would have had it just to say, all right, at least I missed it. But it was to miss the biggest fight of my career.
So you
positive, negative test.
So you got 1 negative in that big bunch, but they cancel your fight because of that. And is that how close to your fight is that when that happened? Is it fight week?
Within 4. It was the day of.
Oh my God!
The day of, they told me. So we did the negative test. It was the day prior, which was the weigh-in.
Right.
Day. So after the weigh-ins, we have to go test. Boom, I passed that test. And just finding out about the test, it's just a whole fraternity test. Finding out if the kid is yours or not. So you waiting by your nails, pacing back and forth in your hotel room, and everything was just so crazy around that period. Man, it was just the whole world was just upside down. Just seeing everybody practicing social distancing, nobody wanted you close by, but we're still about to get in the ring.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Everything was just so crazy.
Dang, man, and so that sounds like it was clearly a false positive. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I've heard of other folks that, and again, with less at stake, that, I got a positive test, but then I got a couple negative ones right after, so I think it was a false. And but then this affects your livelihood and your profile. Again, being televised gets so many eyes on you. And yeah, that sucks that got pulled out from under you. And I know it happened to lots of folks too, but
definitely. But I always say, man, everything happens for a reason. That opponent I was supposed to fight, he has such an awkward style. What people don't understand with boxing. What people don't understand with boxing, I don't care how good you are. Styles make fights.
100%.
If you put somebody who can't fight in front of you, it's going to throw your whole ordeal off. I don't care how good you are. So this one fighter, man, he's just so awkward. I don't know if he had any boxing training.
Oh wow,
he literally is out there boxing worse than a street fighter. I'm not even exaggerating. You go look him up. It's just so crazy. So I'm glad. When I look back, because I ended up fighting him again. It was just in Houston.
Okay.
So when I ended up fighting him again, I was like, man, God had his reason for canceling that fight because I would not have wanted the world to see.
Right.
Even if I did beat him, they were like, all right, look at it. Who's this tomato can they put in front of him?
Right. Yeah, you don't want your first high-profile fight to be a tomato can.
Yeah.
And so that you bring up the styles make fights thing, and so you're on a winning streak after a couple losses, and that is part of the game. Like, you know what, me? I was thinking about my favorite fighters. My favorite fighters aren't undefeated. All of my favorite fighters have lost, right? Like that's part of the story, overcoming loss. What about
That's what I
overcoming
said.
that?
It's part of the story because I know so many people that have taken one loss, like great boxers, and they no longer box again because they couldn't deal with it.
Sure.
They didn't know how to bounce back, or they got knocked out, or took a bad loss. Like, fortunately for me, like the losses, both were split decisions. Like,
sure.
It could have went either way.
Right.
And then in my head, like, I didn't feel defeated. I felt defeated in myself, not defeated in like, oh damn, I can't fight no more. I was just like, oh, I can't let this happen. Like, you got to keep going. Like, right. And I know where I come from. I know people that like have like DMs daily. Like, if it's not daily, it's weekly. No exaggeration. To somebody saying, man, you motivate me. You're always in the gym. You push me to always want to. And I just kept telling myself, damn, if I quit now, what do I tell them people that they're looking up to me? So I was like, I'm not only doing this for myself, I'm doing this like for the other people, or the people that are in Nigeria, or they can't come overseas because their papers are not right, or they don't have the financial resource. And I was just like, yo, this fight is not just for me. Like, all the promises I made my mom, like, oh, just stick down, stay with me. Like, this is going to pay off at the end. So it was just like, yeah, I couldn't like
dwell on
myself. And then it was just like with the whole, it was the same person twice, but I was like, in life, I've made the same mistakes twice.
That's great.
And that's true. Like, I know many people that have made the same mistakes twice, 3 times and stuff, but it's like, all right, if I ever fought this dude, like, he still wants to fight me. That's what's crazy. Like, like the third time, like, I know what I did the second time. It won't happen the third time. And like, I know what I did. It's different when you made a mistake and don't know what you did, or you made a mistake and you know what you did. Like, the first fight, I was playing around.
Okay.
Like, I remember, like, no lie, first round, within like 20 seconds of the fight, I had dropped him.
Oh, wow.
Got me a drop. So I was like, in my head, I'm like, dang, I trained too hard for this fight to let it end this quick.
Oh, no.
Started playing around, bro, got his energy. And I remember had that headbutt. Had crazy headbutt, fractured my overbone. I couldn't continue on with that fight.
Oh, damn.
So, boom, the doctor gave me like a 10-month leave. No, it was 8 months.
Okay.
8 months that I couldn't box again until the eye fully healed.
Right.
These people made the rematch within 6 months.
Yeah, knowing you couldn't take it. Or did you take it?
Yeah, I took it.
Okay.
Like, my pride just like,
wow.
I need this. Like, I was like, forget my eye. Like, I don't care. So I get in the ring. This is the second fight. I get in the ring. Second fight, I was like, forget about my eyes. I get in the ring. All I'm worried about is my eye. Because I'm like,
trying to protect it.
But yeah, I'm like, all I do, I remember that pain. I don't want to feel that. Like, that was like one of the like top 3, like one of the worst pains I ever felt in my life. Just like a fractured orbital bone and just him punching up against it, or we'll get into the clinch.
Damn.
And it was just like so painful. So just me thinking like, I'm not even supposed to be in this ring right now. Like, I'm still supposed to be like on the lead. Like, my doctor said I can't even be here. So I remember like I was fighting that fight timid, but it was just like, all right, I didn't come this far to only come this far.
Right.
And I feel like in this boxing world, like, it's so political.
Sure.
It's so political. No undefeated fighter wants to fight another undefeated fighter. I don't know why that. So I get more opportunities now than I was when I was undefeated. So everything is a blessing.
There you go.
So it's crazy.
So speaking of opportunities, so at the pro level, and again, with a really good record and coming up on a winning streak, you get these opportunities in competition. But what other opportunities might you have in the pro boxing level in terms of training? Do you go to like other gyms, or do you mostly stay with Coach Dwight? And how do you guys set up like sparring and things like this?
Most times, like, different people call you, like, they'll call you like from different gyms. Like, most times I'll go get training over there at J Prince Boxing Gym.
Okay.
There's different call outs. Most time when they need like different help, like with southpaws, because I'm a southpaw fighter, so most times they get different calls out or different training. As far as like the calls, like most times it's called, but like I said, it's political. Sometimes like you'll get a fight, they'll call you within 2 weeks of the fight.
Right.
So right there is like, then they don't even give you a full count. So like they already want to have that advantage that they've been training. Right. They want to call you 2 weeks out, but some people they accept it for the money, even though they know they're gonna lose. They weren't training. They're like, nah, I can't do it like that. That's not why I came into the game.
I hear you. What's an ideal length for fight prep in a fight camp?
There's 7-8 weeks.
Okay.
There's like minimum like 5 weeks if you already been trained. Like if you've been in the gym in and out.
Okay.
But like you bouncing back 8 weeks, like
right,
not doing nothing. Solid 8 weeks of like you just going. But if you've been in and out the gym, not like if you've been in the gym, like how I've been just steady in the gym, just training for something to happen, 5 weeks.
There you go.
Like, even a month.
Okay.
Because you already been training and you're at weight.
Okay.
Now it's just like tuning up.
And so are you boxing at 160?
Yeah, I fight at 160.
All right. Great. That's middleweight?
Yeah, middleweight.
Great.
160 middleweight.
Who are you a fan of, and who do you look up to or study?
Really, I'm a fan of like the people around me. Like,
cool.
When I first started boxing, it was like, it was the twins out of the Houston, the Charlo twins.
Right,
but then like I started going to the main boxing gym, and I don't know if you know who Regis Prograis is.
Oh yeah, Regis Prograis, sure.
Yeah, so like just being around him and seeing how humble he is, I'm like, yo, this dude's humble like this, like, and he's just so nice. Like he's welcoming, open to advice, willing to give advice if you ask him, like, oh, what you need to train on, like not stuck up in his
great
and his success. So just seeing where he came from and like hearing his stories, like, and just being around him, like, oh, if you stay, like, it's different when you're around somebody and when you're not around. Like now you don't know, like you see their glory, you didn't see like their struggle. So, like, yo, I saw his struggle. Like I was running with him, I was training with him. I've been in some of his training camps where he used me as a sparring partner.
There you go.
Just like seeing the growth and I'm seeing, like, having actual, like, eyewitness to what happens when you stay down. So I've been to his house, like, seeing, like, oh, damn, this is life, man. And you stay down for the come up and just stay dedicated to your craft. This is what can happen. So just looking at different people like Regis Prograis, Oceanique Foster, that's another favorite fighter of mine.
I don't know.
And like favorite fighter, like I love Terrence Crawford.
There you go. Crawford's great.
That's my dude right there.
Very cool. And so what future goals do you have in your pro boxing career?
You know, everybody want to be that world champion.
Of course.
I was like, I becoming that world champion. I'm like, yeah, I did it. Like, and then you get that world champion. You know, I'm a person that's never satisfied. It's not need like 2 world champions or unified a division.
Sure.
So it's like that first goal, you know, you got to hit the first step before you get to the second step.
Right.
So that would definitely be that. All right, grinding all this time, become a world champion.
There you go. What maybe has been your biggest success so far in boxing?
I would just say probably just meeting new people. Like I feel like the whole boxing just helped like open doors to things that I wouldn't have done if I was doing something else. Like I met a lot of great people within boxing. I feel like this is still the beginning. Like anything that I could say, all right, it's great. I know there's better in the future because I haven't seen anything yet. It's like I've been on like full trip, like free flights, not having to play for nothing. Like
hell yeah,
you know, like it's just different thing. Like meeting new people. Like damn, I'm in the room with so and so.
Sure.
And I don't even box. And I box, or this is because of boxing my hands, or
right.
I'm sitting in the room with Ron Artest, or he's invited me to that. Just different stuff like that. So I'm like I know it's more to come. So I won't even say there's one particular thing that's great. I like everything is great because like the boxing, I know there's more in store if you just stay down and keep working.
Hell yeah. And so this is the Writers and Fighters podcast. I always like to ask the fighters if they do any writing themselves, or if you're interested in like reading anything like that.
I wouldn't call it writing. Like I have like my notes where I text like probably it's like I do like future goals.
Okay.
Like I'll write it down like, hey, you're gonna make it big one day, or I have this thing where I always tell myself like if they don't know me today, they'll know me tomorrow, and that's like in all aspects of life. I have it where I'm saying like not necessarily as in popularity. I'm saying like where I don't even have to introduce myself when I walk into a room.
Right.
Like,
right.
All right, they don't know me today, they're gonna know me tomorrow. Like I'm gonna do what I gotta do, like anything, like in life, like oh, that's Raphael, that's trouble the boxer, you don't know him? Not just being a boxer, just like doing other like community outreach and like where it's not he just box. Like no, I want to do like for a community. Like you don't remember he was there when he did the gift back for the kids or the back to school for the kids. And they're helping with the single mother, just doing different things like that to where, or I'm known for different things other than boxing. So I write like, I'm not big on like writing or reading, but that's like my writing.
No, I think that counts.
In the 21st century, everybody's like texting now, so make things easier.
Oh yeah.
So I go look back and then, all right, and then what we say we got to do.
I like the making a little note, and those are like your like self affirmations, right? And and one of the best boxers, again, I think the best American athlete ever, Muhammad Ali, he had his self affirmation. He said, "I'm the greatest." Like you say it enough and look at it enough, like you can make that shit happen, And so I like that you put that in, in your notes in your phone.
You say it enough, you start to believe it for sure.
100%, man. All right, Trouble. Sure. What kind of social media plugs you got for us, bud?
My Instagram is Trouble Ralpho. That's Trouble, and Ralpho. That's RALPHO. And the same with Twitter, Trouble Ralpho.
Sweet. Instagram and Twitter, Trouble Ralpho on both. Dude, I really appreciated this.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, and I really dig your representation of Nigeria. And I want to see you, again, be another one of those world champion Nigerian fighters, man.
Oh, it's going to happen, man, for sure.
Hell yeah, buddy. All right, buddy. You take care, okay?
You too, man. Stay blessed.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening to that interview with Trouble Igbokwe, middleweight boxer fighting out of Houston, Texas. I wish him the best. I definitely want him to have a world championship around his waist at some point with that Nigerian flag draped over his shoulders. I think it'd be super cool to have a world champion Nigerian-American fighting out of Houston, Texas. I think that's what boxing is all about. If you want to keep up with Trouble, go over to Instagram. Follow @Trouble Ralpho, RALPHO. He's on Twitter as well. Trouble Ralpho on Twitter as well. Trouble, RALPHO. As far as the podcast, you guys know the drill. Subscribe on your favorite podcast apps. Follow us on social media. What you may want to do, find one of your favorite episodes and send it over to somebody who might be interested. I would really appreciate that. Just like I appreciate all the love we get online, all the support we get, the ratings we've gotten on Apple Podcasts, the follows we've gotten on Spotify, and so on. So you guys stay tuned, be good, be safe, and we'll talk next week.